go. So keys to the game, I got two of them. Number one, Ohio State needs to take and make three-pointers in this game. We've already talked about Rutgers not being a great three-point shooting team and not shooting many three-pointers anyway. That's not how they want to play. They want to score in the paint, and that's fine, Rutgers. You can do that all day long, but if Ohio State can make threes, it's going to make it really hard for you to win this game. This number one is going to get Rutgers uncomfortable. Three-pointers, they do something to you emotionally, mentally, the momentum. It means something when you can watch threes go in, especially in a home game. Gets the crowd fired up, gets them amped up. So it's just going to make Rutgers uncomfortable, first of all. But second of all, I think we're living in a world right now where no one knows how good Ohio State's three-point shooting is. They're the fifth best team in the nation shooting three-pointers this year. Do people realize that? Like, I get they've had a couple down games, but overall, they are the fifth best team in the nation shooting three-pointers at 42.4% this season. Rutgers, on the other hand, is making 31% of their shots from deep. They don't take many. They're okay with that. They don't make many either. So if you get a good Ohio State team, if you get the good Ohio State team that can make 10, 12, 14 three-pointers in a game, rather than the Ohio State team that you saw against Maryland and another poor performances this year, you win this game, most likely. I would say the number probably is at 10. If you can make 10 three-pointers in this game, you've got a really, really good shot at winning. So that's your first key to the game. You got to take them. You got to make them. Get Rutgers uncomfortable. Number two, I'm just going to say it. And this gets too far into the weeds because this is not where I profess to be an expert. I never will. But when it comes to the X's and O's, one thing I would do is I would simply overhelp on Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper. Why? Number one, they are your only scorers on this team consistently. They are averaging 40-ish points per game. That's a lot out of two players. When you can get that, it's good for you. But if you are slowly but surely making those shots a little bit more uncomfortable, if you're forcing a couple more misses, that's going to hurt Rutgers' offense as a whole. And the other reason I would do this is because you don't have great size if you're Ohio State. You just don't. Aaron Bradshaw's out. You've got Sean Stewart. Outside of that, Devin Royal and Evan Mahaffey are 6'6". Austin Parks and Yvonne Negavon. Parks, I think, is 6'10", 6'11". Negavon is a 7-footer. That's great. Those two are not ready. You've still got athletes on the floor. You've got Michi Johnson, Bruce Thornton. Micah Parrish is a phenomenal defender. Sean Stewart is a phenomenal athlete. Evan Mahaffey and Devin Royal showing the ability to defend. Let those guys run around. Let them fly around. Let them rotate. Let them defend. Overhelp on Bailey and Harper and force other guys that you've never heard of to take and make shots. If you let both of these guys reach 20 points, I don't know if that's happened yet this season. I haven't looked that closely, but if you let them both score 20 points, Rutgers is going to feel comfortable and they're going to feel like they can win this game. If you're limiting them, if one player has 5 points at halftime and the other has 9, you feel good about your chances of winning this game if you're Ohio State, and maybe you make those freshmen press. So those are my two keys to the game in this one. You got to take and make the threes, and you got to just shut down Bailey and Harper because it just feels like a bit of a one-dimensional team outside of them. Okay. Banger bets and then a prediction. Banger bets right now. So the number I have here on my sheet for the spread is big, and it's in favor of Ohio State. I've got Ohio State -7 in this one. That is a spread that I would project. I'm not sure if Vegas is going to give Ohio State that number. And also, one thing that I haven't really been able to tweak or be able to factor in at this point on the Views from the Schott podcast betting intelligence platform, our BIP, is factoring in for injuries. So I manually changed this number for Ohio State. And I think Ohio State is going to come out around -5.5 to -6. We'll see if Vegas wants to give Ohio State that many points after the performance against Maryland. This is still a really, really good Ohio State team. It's just, it's lacking the depth right now. And because of that, it makes it hard to go out and get big leads and keep those leads because you only got a few guys that you can really play and rely on and trust on. So the number that I'm going to give is going to be Ohio State minus 5.5 in this one. That's the number that I would expect to see from Vegas. So now you've heard it. When you see the numbers come out, there may be some play one way or another there. The total I would expect in this one would be 153. And I really want to lean toward the over in this one. I think it could happen. We'll see. We'll see what that number is. I'm hoping this number comes out at like 150. Please give that to me, Vegas. But unfortunately, with the BIP, we've just been on point with whatever Vegas has released this year. We've seen pretty much that same number that we've declared before the numbers come out. So it's not like we're not cheating or anything. I don't know how you would. Not acting like we know what we're doing. This BIP has been spot on so far this year. So we'll see if there's a play. That's what we expect for the spread. And for the total, I really want to take an over. I want that. We all want that. We all love betting overs. Okay. Prediction for this game. So, number one, if you like pace, this game is going to be for you. Rutgers is 75th percentile in college basketball this year and in pace, while Ohio State is 60th percentile. Ohio State sometimes wants to play fast. Sometimes it doesn't. When it does play fast, it has been good this year. And neither of these teams are the traditional Big Ten, throw it into the paint, let a center back you down. We're going to keep the ball for 20 seconds into the shot clock and then finally get a shot up. That's not what these two teams are. Also, what Rutgers is not. You don't have a 7-footer on the team. You've got a 6'10 player. Outside of that, Rutgers does not have a lot of size. So the concern that a lot of people have mentioned and that I would agree with right now is that can Ohio State play in the Big Ten with the lack of size and lack of depth that they have? Jake Diebler decided he wanted to zig when everyone else was zagging. That's fine. We'll see if it's going to work. The biggest issue here is you don't have Aaron Bradshaw. Could it have worked with Aaron Bradshaw? Yeah, I 100% believe that it could have. You look at Nebraska last year, how many points per game they scored. They did kind of a similar approach where they were just running up and down the floor. They were shooting a lot of threes. They were spreading it out. They weren't playing like Michigan State, for example, or Purdue. So all that's, although Purdue could make a three-pointer last year as well. All that said, I like this matchup for Ohio State. I really do. I think this is a type of game that Ohio State should win. A lot of people are saying this is a must-win for Ohio State. It's not. It is objectively not a must-win. Morale, locker room, all that apparently is fine right now. It's not an issue. It's not a concern. People still really want to see Ohio State win this game. And I think that Ohio State is going to pull this off. I think Ohio State will beat Rutgers. I think Rutgers is a good team. You've got those freshmen, though. If you can force them into some mistakes, if you can force them into missing some shots, getting frustrated, losing confidence, I don't know. Every player is wired differently, so it feels silly to even suggest that. But if that does happen, if Bailey or if Harper aren't on their A game, Ohio State will have a good shot to win this game. We will see. We will see. I'm going to pick Ohio State to win this game. I'm going to pick them to win 80-73 is my final score projection in that one. And guess what? That would get us to exactly 153, which would be the exact total. So sorry. And that's also the spread as well. I didn't even mean to do that, but I did it anyway. I've got Ohio State winning this game 80-73. I think the Buckeyes will pull it off. I think that they match up well with Rutgers. The way Rutgers wants to play is how Ohio State wants to play as well. You don't have to deal with the front court depth issues because this is a smaller Rutgers team that plays kind of similarly to Ohio State offensively. So I think that this is the type of game that Ohio State should want to play in and should be able to win as well. So I'm going to take the Buckeyes to win this one. Okay. That is that. I hope you feel 100% prepared for Ohio State to take on Rutgers. It's Friday. If you're listening on Friday, happy Friday. Enjoy your final day of the work week, if that's how it works for you. And we'll look forward to watching Ohio State against Rutgers on Saturday. We will plan to go live after the game on YouTube with instant reactions and takeaways from the game. So plan to be there. Please make plans to be there. I would like you to be there. I will be there. So you should too. We'll plan to go live after the game on YouTube to react. And then from there, we'll get ready for a new week where Ohio State has a big game against Auburn, of course. Appreciate you listening to today's show. More than you could ever understand or watching if you're on YouTube. I will shut up before you shut me off. Go Bucks.